Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for inviting me to speak today. First of all, I'd like to pass on a huge congratulations and thank you for everything that you have achieved in the last 2 years. These 2 years have been two of the hardest in the history of Ugandan education. Your work and the work of the Teach for Uganda team that supported you is an inspiration, and your commitment will go down in the history of the organisation as future cohorts build on your extraordinary resilience and creativity. 17 years ago, I began my own Teach for All journey as one of the first cohort of Teach First teachers in the UK. I taught secondary school maths in South London, and it was an experience I will never forget. More importantly, the friends and colleagues I met then remain some of my closest friends and collaborators to this day. Last Sunday, I went for a jog with two of my fellow teachers from that cohort. One of them went on to play a leading role in STIR Education, which works across Uganda and India to develop the skills and motivation of teachers and school leaders. The other now runs something called Jamie's Farm, which is a great charity in the UK where students at risk of exclusion from school because of their behavioural needs benefit from week-long residential experiences where they enjoy a completely different world while building resilience through therapy. After a week at the farm, most of the students previously at risk of exclusion are no longer at risk. My own path after those 2 years teaching led me to launch the PEAS network of schools in Uganda and Zambia. In Uganda, PEAS now educates over 16,000 secondary school students, and in Zambia, PEAS has agreed a radical public-private partnership with the government in which its schools are the first government-funded schools in the country to be completely free, and that includes lunch. Since handing over the leadership of PEAS 3 years ago, I've moved on to lead a charitable foundation which has put me in the very privileged position of being able to make grants to Teach for All organisations, including the brilliant Teach for Uganda. So those 3 stories, they're just the tip of the iceberg. In the UK and across the very many other countries which Teach for All programmes are run in, tens of thousands of committed young people have graduated through them and have gone on to a lifetime of commitment in the field of tackling educational disadvantage. It's incredibly exciting to think about all the change that you and your peers will go on to achieve on the back of what you've learned and the networks that you've built over the last 2 years. Uganda needs you. The Pearl of Africa is a country of the most immense potential. It's a country with a young and dynamic population, but one in which far too few students are able to complete primary and secondary school. And even when they do get into school, the quality of education, as we know, across most of the country leaves many with only very limited learning. The work each of you have done over the last 2 years to sustain learning within your students through the most incredibly difficult conditions will have changed many, many individual lives. But I believe the work each of you will do over the next few decades will change the lives of millions. How you do that, only you can choose. For some, it will be through teaching, for some through NGOs, for some politics, and even others, business partnerships. However you choose to play a role, I want you to promise each other one thing. Never forget these 2 years. Never forget the communities that you've worked with and the friendships you've built. Never forget the sacrifices you made and the sacrifices that were made on your behalf by the Teach for Uganda team and well-wishers across the world. And most importantly, never forget just how much the world can change through the actions of a small number of people like you. Thank you.